Welcome to another episode of the Book Fix podcast, a podcast that saves lives one book at a time. I'm your host, Yajaira.
And I'm your host, Cheli. Welcome back to this beautiful Thursday. If you're listening to us in the morning, you know how to do it. I feel
know what
like
to do.
Today's going to be kind of a crazy one. So why don't we start with a little bit of a palate cleanser? Because I have some book tea that you actually presented to me today.
Yeah, this morning, I think.
I'm still a little confused. I was reading through it, but this is an article that is on bookriot.com. And the article's headline is Hoopla, Overdrive Libby, now banned for those under 18 in Mississippi.
When I saw that, I could not believe it. I can't imagine those apps being banned for me. So I really feel for everyone over there who why can't they use it? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, according to this article, which, by the way, falls under the subhead of censorship, despite the age of consent in Mississippi being 16, they are limiting kind of like access to books because apparently there are books that have material that is obscene according to the state.
But it drives me crazy because there are so many books that they could have access to on those apps. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like whatever it is that they're thinking. But even if it is, it's really not as bad as they think it is. Because even like books like, I know Harry Potter is banned or considered one of like the banned books. What is that one? To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yes.
So like there's certain books that I know are considered banned, but I'm just like, really, you're trying to quote unquote protect these kids, but really you're just stunting them.
I agree. And also, like, I think about our relationship with the internet when we were younger. There was less barriers you had to get through to access things online.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people saw some messed up shit. I'm lucky that I wasn't one of those people. I just read fan fiction about found family. Kill me.
Love that
like,
for you.
Sue me. I like fucking, that's all I fucking did. But like, I understand why they're concerned because I feel like now obscenity online is kind of heightened to a point of violence. And that's like another conversation in itself, but it feels weird to limit what you're able to view, mostly when it comes to books that you could rent out. Like that doesn't really seem like something they should limit. But according to them, on July 1st, 2023, there was a House Bill 1315 that passed and said that public libraries are only allowed to offer digital or online resources from their database, or if a vendor gives them something that they've already like verified that's not obscene. So they are doing that because they're trying to prevent people from sending, receiving, and viewing child videos. They don't want to promote child sexual exploitation or trafficking, obscene materials, or anything inappropriate dealing with cruelty and violence in the matter that is harmful to children. So in order to make sure that nothing inappropriate is seen, they decided that they would rather just cut it off until they're old enough.
But like, I don't exactly know what's on there that they would be concerned about.
I don't know if it's like, because this kind of feels like it's more people that don't want their kids to read like books about like same sex. You know what I mean?
I know
LGBTQ.
Florida was fighting over This Book is Gay, I believe was the title of the book. And that's honestly what I think it is. I think they're just trying to limit teens' access to books where they feel represented. I think that's the bigger issue. But of course, I know that there are other books out there that could be harmful to children. But I'm not thinking about the same-sex ones. That's not the ones that I'm thinking of.
It's crazy because I read a book that happened to be an LGBTQ book, but honestly, it could have been either way. That was targeted towards teenagers and was so sex positive, and it kind of caught me off guard. But at the same time, like, we have to realize that you can only shield children from things for so long. You might as well give them access on a site that actually has verified resources where they can read this content. And if it's like really an issue, then maybe the people who are trying to make laws for it should read the book first. Like, it just comes down to that. I don't understand why states are trying to like infringe on a right that we are allowed to have by like putting these laws.
It just makes me feel anxious. Like, what's next? You know, what else? Like, is it going to be banned throughout all of the states? Like, it just makes me really nervous.
Well, was it? And correct me if I'm wrong. Let me actually check before I say it, because I don't want to. Oh, in Montana, they actually banned TikTok back in May. So although some people have the app downloaded, if you didn't, it's kind of like Flappy Bird. If you didn't, you can no longer download it because it's not in the App Store. So like, it just, like you said, it feels like people are slowly like stripping away the rights of what we're allowed to view online. And like I said, I understand you don't want kids to view certain things, but at the same time, like, people are going to view what they want. It's what they do with it. And it's also up to their parents to, you know, provide boundaries. But
yeah,
I mean, who's to say?
That's just like an irritating topic.
It is an irritating topic. It's interesting because that kind of connects a little bit with what you're allowed to read. Today is the day. I prayed before this one.
Oh, okay, that's good. I bet you anything the Bible isn't banned.
Welcome to our new podcast. We're just gonna fucking cover politicians.
Follow us on, you know what? The title is still a work in progress. Please give us time.
Thank you. We are actually going to be talking about our first Colleen Hoover book ever on this podcast. It only took us maybe 100 episodes to get to this point.
Dude,
by the way, happy 100.
That's what I was gonna say. Dude, I was literally thinking about that last night after you and I got off the phone. I was like, dude, we never even addressed that we surpassed 100 episodes. And I was just gonna like mention it, like, yeah, we're gonna do this anyways. Happy 100 or over 100 now. And I just, because obviously before we had wanted to do something special, but you know, things just don't work out the way that we hope. So it's okay.
Yeah. We're busy working women. But our first episode of this podcast was released under the name Story and Things. And it was May 25th of 2021.
Damn.
So we're about to hit our two. Oh, we already hit our 2 year. We didn't do anything.
No, we didn't do anything.
We were both really busy. I was actually camping that day.
I feel like May was not a good month for our anniversary.
No, it's definitely not. But we do have to plan something big. We could talk about it afterwards. I think this is a pretty big treat for people listening. A CoHo book that we never thought we were going to read.
We really didn't, because when we started TikTok and booktok, we had seen all of the rage for Colleen Hoover. Like, I think she's one of the most popular authors on, at least on there. And it's crazy because both Cheli and I have people in our lives that didn't really read before, but now they're starting to read, and it's all Colleen Hoover.
Yep. Shout out.
Shout out. Yay. So, Cheli, what made us pick this one? Out of all of the Colleen Hoover books, why do you think we picked this one?
I mean, I feel like we have to pick her biggest, her best. Just kidding. I'm like giving her like,
oh my God.
Sorry, I work for CoHo now. But no, we actually picked It Ends With Us because this is one of her biggest works. It is the one that is set up for getting a movie. It is the one that was set for getting a coloring book. And
oh my God.
one of her most...
We could talk about the coloring book after.
Yeah, this is one of her most personal stories too. She did say that she worked a lot with her family when telling this story because of how sensitive the topic is. So It Ends With Us is going to be our first CoHo book. Not the
Also,
first one you read though, because this is
No,
my
it's
first
not.
one.
Yeah. My first one was Ugly Love from her.
Okay.
But I just want to say that her movie, It Ends With Us, is set to release next year in February. I believe February 9th. So,
Do you remember
Chelly,
when
you know where we're going to be at.
we should go to the same theater we went when we watched 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes. I'm so down. All the old people around us.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. But before we start, why don't we give a spoiler-free summary about what this book is about?
Okay, I have one.
Nice.
So my summary is pretty short, to the point. I think it's pretty much the same as the summary on the book. So It Ends With Us is a book where our main character, Lily Blossom Bloom, meets Ryle Kincaid, and they embark on a relationship that gradually turns into an abusive one.
Dude, her name had to be fucking Lily, am I right?
Lily
Just kidding.
Blossom? Lily
Just
Blossom Bloom?
Sorry
Yeah.
to the Lily I know. She's listening to this.
She's not listening to this. Don't even worry.
She might. She's surprised me a few times.
Oh my God. Don't say that. Just kidding, Lily.
Shout out, Lily. Congratulations,
Damn.
by the way.
Congrats. Love you. Anyway.
Yeah, if you want to read this book, go ahead and check it out on your own. Just be aware that, trigger warning, we are going to talk about domestic abuse. So if you are aware that that's a topic you can handle, then yes, go read this book. We are going to go into depth about this book. So just letting everyone know.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the part of the episode where we're going to guess how the other person would rate the book, because we don't really talk about these stories beforehand. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I think you should go first.
Okay. I didn't really give it much thought, but I'm closing my eyes. I'm getting into your beautiful mind.
Thank you.
I'm gonna guess that you're gonna give it like.
I'm holding up a number right now.
Oh my God, I see it. A 2.25, because you can do that on Storygraph.
2 1/4. Thank you. She knows math.
Oh my God.
I'm guessing that you are going to give this a 4 out of 5. Can I tell you something?
Huh.
I have been using Instagram a lot lately, my personal Instagram. I do want to say, and you can't change your score, when I was reading this story, I had to take you off of Instagram for a bit, like mute you, because I didn't want you to see what I was saying about it.
So mean.
I did save all the stories to show you after.
I can't believe you would do that to me.
I felt so bad, but I was like, I can't say anything because I really like going into it blind. Because I think you gave it a 4 or even like a 5. But as soon as you start talking, I never know.
You what?
So, as soon as you start talking, I never actually know how you feel. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, I never know how you feel either. I just kind of pick a number. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you throw a dart. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually what I do. Also, are you gonna post anything on TikTok about that?
Yeah, I saved all the videos because they were really funny.
Oh, okay.
My favorite one was when I looked in the camera and I was like, I end with us. And then I cut it off.
God.
Fade to black.
Not again.
So I do want to say, I tried going into this blind. I did not want to have any expectations for this book, high or low. And I separated myself from the author. I was like, okay, I can't have any preconceived notions. So I just need to just take it at face value. So starting this book, it starts off with our girl Lily.
Wait,
love that name.
Before we talk about the book, I just want to mention that Cheli and I are aware that this was a very personal book for Colleen Hoover. But even though it was a personal book for her, I do want us to still go like still talk about the book as it is. Do you know what I mean? Like not really thinking about how it connects to her. We
Yes.
can talk about that, of course, but yeah, so we
I would
do
like
want
to
be
save that till the end. I want to talk about the book first.
No, I know, but I just want to say like we will try to be sensitive, but we just want to talk about the book.
I want to start off by saying when I started this book, I was reading so slow because this is the book that kind of triggered me going like, okay, I'm just going to read another book after this and then I'm going to keep going. And my reading slump disappeared. Gone. Who is she? So this book starts off with Lily. She is a girl who just like literally just left her dad's funeral. And Lily Bloom, that's her full name.
Lily
She is sitting
Bloom.
Yes, she is sitting on a rooftop on like the 12th floor, and she kind of has her feet dangling on both sides, one on the roof and like one on the edge. And she's just over here like, "Oh my god, fucking I just need quiet. This is good. Like I needed my space. I cannot believe that just happened. Like the funeral that happened, like she didn't believe it played out the way it did." And she's just enjoying her quiet time when she realizes that a man storms into the rooftop and he just like looks super agitated. So he seems
really angry because he's like fucking throwing chairs all over the place and he's just obviously upset.
And while he's doing this, he doesn't realize that she's there. It isn't until I think he's walking back to the chair and he's like smoking a joint that he finally makes eye contact with her. And he's just kind of like, "Who are you? Like, what? Please get off of that ledge." Because it looks like she's about to jump, you know?
Yeah.
So she kind of like, "Nah, I don't really feel like it. Whatever." And I don't know how, but they both end up like, he talks her into moving away. And they both end up sitting on like beach chairs, you know, the ones that you lounge on. And they're both looking at the sky. So at this point, they are complete strangers to each other. But she does realize that this man looks really attractive. Just wanted to point it out. So like, when they're sitting next to each other, I think it's Lily who starts saying like, oh, well, first it's Ryle, the man. He's kind of like, "Oh, some people are just so like they act so fake, and like how do you act with people who are like that?" And she was like, "Well, you know, you could just give like a naked truth. You could just be as honest as possible." So they start this thing called Naked Truths where they say whatever they're feeling without any judgment. Like you are just supposed to say whatever it is. So then Ryle, the guy, is like, "Okay, well, why don't you give me a naked truth? Go ahead and tell me a naked truth." Do you remember what her first one was?
No, but I think she does bring up her dad, right? She brings up that her dad had died and that how she couldn't really give a eulogy because she had nothing nice to say.
Yes. I think her dad is the first one. It's, "I fucked up the eulogy to my dad's funeral." And then he's like, "Oh my God, please tell me more." And he's like, "Here, I'll show you what I did." And she stands up and is like, "I'm going to talk about my dad and all of the wonderful things that he's done." And she just stood there for 10 minutes in silence because he was such a horrible person that she had nothing nice to say about him.
Yeah, and she mentions that mentions it, but in, you know, her point of view, not telling him that her father was a mayor and that he was really abusive to her mother, even though he never laid a hand on her. So she just never was able to have a relationship with him.
Yep. And so then Ryle is like, "Okay, let me give you my naked truth. Today I saw a little boy who killed his own brother because they were like playing with guns and he didn't know that it was a real gun and basically shot his brother and he couldn't save him because turns out that Ryle is a neurosurgeon and there was just like nothing he could do." And then it kind of throws Lily off because it's such a serious and dark change. And she tries to like comfort him in a way, but then he's just like, no, that kid's life is going to be fucked up forever. Like he is never going to be the same because of that. Mm-hmm. And then it gets quiet and Ryle's like, okay, well, give me another one because that one was kind of, that one was kind of dark. There needs to be another thing. So give me another naked truth. And then Lily's like, oh, I fell in love with, had sex with a homeless man. And then Ryle's like, okay, explain more. It's like, well, it was someone I knew, and his name was Atlas. And our relationship did not end up going that far because my dad found out, and he beat him up. And like with the way it ends, it feels like there's more to that conversation and to that story. But Ryle doesn't really pry. So then when it goes to his naked truth, he's just like, I want to fuck you. He just like says it very
bluntly. Yeah. And they kind of get into the conversation of how he doesn't really want anything serious, just like in general, not necessarily with her, but he's just like, I don't have time, neurosurgeon life. And she mentions that to her, she really wants like that fairy tale romance, right? Like she wants the complete opposite of what he wants. And so they are aware of, the fact that they're not compatible. And he kind of is like, okay. So nothing happens in this point, but obviously they are both attracted to one another. And then I believe he gets a phone call, right, from his work.
Yeah, because he was very close into convincing her into having a one-night stand. Like, I think he had his hand under her shirt. And it wasn't until the phone call he gets up. It turns out that he's like on call and he needs to be at work in like the next 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. But also during their conversation, he did kind of inspire her. I forgot exactly how the conversation went. It doesn't really matter. But she mentioned that she had like hopes to have a business, right? And he was kind of like, oh, like what kind of business? And she mentioned like a florist. And she said like Lily Blooms would be a cute name, right? And so he kind of like inspired that thought to turn into something more serious, because shortly after that, she made it into a realization.
Yes. But just to end like this, I guess it's kind of a flashback, but at the very end when he gets the call and he gets up to leave, he takes her picture and then leaves. So that's the last time they see each other for a while. And she's just kind of thrown off because it's like, her day was very horrible, and then she ended up just meeting a stranger who made it less bad.
Yeah.
So, taking a step back, how did you feel about the story so far at this point?
I was sympathetic towards Lily because I did feel bad about her relationship with her father and how her mother was obviously because her mother, the way that her mom responded was like, oh, she's just upset, like, I know you were upset about it, but obviously like, no, why she couldn't give him a eulogy. And I just sympathize with her. But with Ryle, I wasn't really sure how to feel about him, only because I didn't like that his first like interaction or his first, whatever, was him literally like throwing shit around. Like, to me, I was like, yeah, that's kind of a red flag. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
You know what's one part I really did not like in their conversation? How he mentioned something to her saying that there's no such thing as bad people. We're all just people who sometimes do bad things. And like, that's because the thing is, you and I have had that conversation. Like, if people are born evil or become evil type of things. And that's a huge conversation that I feel like a lot of people have had with those that they like to have those conversations with. And I like how that's such a big topic, but him saying that, she was just like, oh my God, he's right. He solved it. God. And it's like, can you I don't know. It seemed so quickly where she was like, yep, he gets it.
I couldn't really stand that quote, honestly. And I know that, like you said, it's a big theme, I guess. once again, can you repeat the quote?
Yeah, the quote is, "There is no such thing as bad people. We're all just people who sometimes do bad things."
When I first listened to that quote, it gives me the ick because it makes me feel like, oh, you're just trying to not take accountability for the shit that you do.
You're justifying your bad actions.
Yeah, you're trying to push yourself away from all of the bad things that you do. And I'm not saying like people can't change. That's not what I'm saying. But like just that quote in itself, it's like, no, I mean, you kind of are your actions as well. So
and
let's not pretend like he wasn't a shitty person. And that also goes with her father too.
That's what I was going to say. The fact that she came from an abusive home and she heard that, and her first intention or her first thought was like, I mean, that's true. No one is exclusively bad nor exclusively good. And it's like for someone who went through such trauma, for her to be completely okay with that comment, like while they were doing Naked Truth, she could have said like, hey, you know what? I don't really agree with that. Like, I feel like that would have been more believable for her character, even if she did come to like a realization that maybe she does believe that in the future. Like at this point, I don't think she would have agreed with that comment.
I don't either. Like, it doesn't make any sense, especially after you just got out of this funeral. I don't know why you would listen to this man who obviously has anger issues and think, oh my God, he's so smart. He's such a brilliant man.
He felt like a very serious character, doesn't really make jokes, you know, is just very well put together from their conversations. So it kind of threw me off when she read her eulogy that she gave to her dad when she sat back down and he said, you're kind of my hero. You just roasted a dead guy. I was like, why would you say that? Why would you say that?
It did kind of feel out of character. Like, it doesn't really feel like something he would say.
Not maybe in the future, but not at this point.
Yeah. So why don't we just go through this a little bit faster? So then afterwards, I think it's 6 months after, Lily is opening up her business. Lily blooms. And then this girl shows up. What's her name? Oh my God. Elisa?
Elisa.
Right?
Yeah. Elisa.
So Elisa shows up. She's this rich girl who just really wants a job. She doesn't care if she gets paid or not. She's like, hey, it looks like you need help. And so with time, Elisa and Lily become friends. And then... I like that. Lily... Okay. Sorry?
I like that Elisa was hired on the spot.
I know, literally. Like, okay. Because she was willing to work for $10. She was like, I don't even care to get paid, honestly. I'm rich. Do you see this Gucci bag? But then Lily is, while she's like renovating, she ends up getting hurt. And Elisa's like, oh my God, we got to get you some help. She makes a little phone call. And lo and behold, turns out she is Ryle's sister. So Ryle shows up with his friend and he's like, oh my God, nice to meet you. I've never seen you before. And so that's how they both reconnect after those 6 months.
I liked, like, I kind of thought it was cute the way that they were interacting. So I hate that he kind of ruined it when Elisa walked away. And when she comes back, he's like, oh, by the way, I still want to fuck you.
I know, literally. It's like, and Elisa was like, what the fuck?
I'm trying to be employed.
I know. I'm just employed. I just started today.
I know. It's funny. She puts all her stuff down. And as soon as she hears that, he's like, okay, I'll start packing my stuff, boss. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. But like, it's fucking wild to me. Like, as slow as I felt this story was at points, it's wild to me that all of a sudden now she's like in the family. You know what I mean? Like, she's completely enveloped in this family, is best friends with the sister who just happened to walk in, and then fucking he's just in her life again. And they don't really do anything to further their interaction. Lily ends up getting hurt, and she does need to ice her leg. And basically, like, she's out of commission for like an entire week. But she ends up driving herself home and whatever. Let's just call it a day. And a week passes by.
He still obviously wants something with her. She's not down. And I think it's during one night she hears a knock one night and she opens the door and this man is just so fucking thirsty. He's just like, girl, I literally knocked on 27 doors. 27? 29? I can't remember.
29.
I knocked on 29 doors and I finally got to your door. Girl, I'm so thirsty. Like, I can't stop thinking about you. And listen, I am trying to be a doctor, as you already know, and I can't do my residency if all I'm thinking about is you and, you know, being in you. So if you could just like do me a solid and like we just have like one little one night stand, a quickie, if you will, then I'll never ever talk to you again. You'll never hear from me again. And at first she's like not down. She's just like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Not really. That's not really her response, but she's just kind of like shocked, right? But then slowly he does kind of convince her because she's like, oh my God, me sleeping with a doctor, that's kind of hot. And so she leaves, she starts showering, she starts shaving every inch of her body. She comes out in a sexy ass outfit, ready, and then he is passed out on her bed. He is knocked out. And so she sleeps next to him. He wakes up and he's just like, I am so sorry. That was embarrassing. I never want to talk about that ever again.
Dude.
But he had to leave though, like immediately. He was like, sorry, I'm booked, so I have to go.
Dude, as soon as it got up to this point, I really liked Ryle. Like, I fucking thought he was really sweet. Like, even though he doesn't want a relationship, it's like he's kind of going against what he said with, like, I only have to see you once, you know? It's just, you're just one person. But he's over here, like, continuously trying to find her. And even the next day when she goes to work, on their soft opening, he comes in and like buys flowers and he's like, I'm gonna buy it for a girl that I don't think about because girls are gross. And he's like, you know, I barely talk to my sister. No, but
that's
he
interesting that you thought that was cute. I thought that was creepy for someone to go knocking to knock on 29 doors. That's weird. You couldn't just like call the sister.
I know, and been like, wait, where? No, but I don't even think the sister knew. I know that they knew what complex she lived at. So that was the reason that he did that. And I thought it was cuter, like the next day when he bought flowers and he wrote that little card. And basically he had addressed it to the flower shop because he was giving flowers to her. And
the sister was like, what a dumbass.
I know, that stupid bitch.
I thought that part was cute, the getting her flowers, because I think he was her first customer. So that was cute. And he was like, you're going to have to frame that first $1.
No, bitch. Throwing it in the garbage. I just want to say that I really like the continuation of like anytime they meet, both of them are like, okay, get ready. Naked truth coming along. It's coming. Like, they're just like, that's their way of interacting. I think that's really cute. But can I tell you something that it gave me? It kind of gave me the ick after a while. But can I tell you what it reminded me of?
What?
You season 2 when Joe would always say, I wolf you.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to bring that up. Ew.
Did you get that? Did you get that feeling though?
I did get that vibe. I was like, this is kind of gross. I can't.
Yeah, at first it was cute, but then when it started getting to like the end and they continued to say that, it's like, nah, bitch, that ain't us. That's gross, actually. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. At this point, I was like, oh my God, naked truths? Are you fucking kidding me? That's cute as fuck. Okay, so I don't
really see the point of the naked truths when Ryle was so fucking blunt since the very beginning. Like, what's the point of it?
It's the heart. It's the heart in it. I think it's just supposed to be like, I wolf you. Like, what the fuck was the point in that? I don't even fucking like wolves. Not that this isn't Cheli speaking, by the way.
That is not true. Hold on. Wait, what? You love wolves.
Why are you exposing me?
Let's see. You really liked Beastars. You really liked
Exo's wolf.
Zootopia. Wait, he's not a wolf. Is he a wolf? Why am I blanking out? Hello?
You're just kind of just calling me out. I liked Bad Guys. Thank you.
Oh yes, bad guys. Yes, thank you. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, like you said, speeding ahead. So they end up there's like a party that Alyssa's throwing, and she's fucking rich. She owns like an entire like floor of an apartment complex. And it's like, yeah, Lily, come to this party, it's gonna be great. And she takes her friend with her as like to protect her from Ryle if he's there. Mm-hmm. Dude, that doesn't fucking last.
She takes her gay best friend who is never heard from ever again after this moment.
Yeah, Devin, he was actually my favorite character, so how dare you? Actually, Ellen DeGeneres was my favorite character, but we can talk about that later.
Ellen DeGeneres is actually the main character.
Don't spoil! Okay, so it's kind of funny because she brought him as like a, please be my buffer if this guy comes up to me. And he's literally a buffer for everyone else, but as soon as he comes, it's like, yeah, I mean, take her. I don't even fucking know who that is. Lily? Fuck that bitch. Oh my gosh. But do they have sex in this one? Oh no, they don't. They don't. Because he's basically like, Lily, baba, I want something real with you, and I've never wanted that with someone ever, and I just don't know what to do with these feelings. And she was like, well, if you want to try this, then don't have sex with me. Like, show me that you want to be with me, not just because you want to have sex with me. So then they end up just sleeping together and not having sex. And then after like the night passes, in the morning, she's like getting up and Alyssa is like making herself coffee. And then Alyssa notices that she's wearing Ryle's clothes and makes a comment like, really, you're dating my brother? Like, that's probably not the best because. And then Ryle's like, go ahead, tell her why the fuck it's not good to date me. Like, go ahead, I want to hear it too. And they get mad at each other. And dude, that, like, I tried putting myself in Lily's shoes. If I had sat in during that fight, I would have felt so uncomfortable. Like, I would not want to continue to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same. I feel like that should be like between them and not include her.
And it's like not worth it too. If you're the girl's boss, his sister's boss, I don't think I would continue that relationship. That feels not great for my business.
Yeah.
But I mean, they continue it, and I think they last, it's not even like 10 pages. I think they like immediately have sex.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I really hated that. I thought this was going to take longer to get to that point. But nah, they had sex, and then she had made a joke that like, oh, you're not going to be able to have sex with me once because I'm like a drug. And then like after the first time they have sex, she gets a text message from him and he's like, I'm dealing with withdrawals, babe. It's like, shut the fuck up, Ryle. Shut the fuck up, Ryle. Aren't you like fixing a brain right now? Like, shut the fuck up, Ryle.
He was like, you were right, babe. You know what? You really are a drug. I should have been more careful.
I should have been careful. You told me. But I was like, babe, I can handle it.
I'm a doctor.
I'm a doctor. I'm a neurosurgeon, okay? But he's at work fucking like dying.
Then Lily has dinner with her mom and Ryle is there. They go to a restaurant and lo and behold, the homeless man that she had mentioned works there, and she immediately freaks out because she's like, oh my God, Atlas is here. And so she sees him, he sees her, and then she's kind of acting a little, I kind of hate it because I feel like she doesn't know how to hide her emotions. Like she immediately was like, oh my God. And so then she gets really anxious, but then she walks away. I think she goes towards the bathroom. Atlas shows up and he's like, oh my God, you're here. So through the story, we've been getting a lot of flashbacks of, her first love with Atlas. And she is such a big fan of Ellen DeGeneres. Like we already said, she's like basically the other main character. And honestly, Cheli has always loved her. And
I know, love that.
In the letters, she pretty much says, "Dear Ellen, I wish you would be here. You're like my best friend." So I helped Atlas because he was homeless pretty much. And so she like gave him food. She let him shower at her place. And that's how they kind of started their relationship, right? But I think when they first met, she was 15, he was 17 or around there. or he was already 18. And so it was kind of like a gradual friendship between them. They kind of bonded over their similar upbringings because he did not have a relationship with his family. And obviously, she witnessed her family's, toxic relationship. And so that's why he became such an important role in her life, because he was always there for her when things would just go wrong in the household. And so through all of these flashbacks, we get a lot of moments of what exactly happened throughout their relationship. So he was her first love. And then he was like, I'm going to go to the military. But babe, don't worry. I'm going to find you. Mm-hmm. So they kind of made like this like pact that they were going to find each other. But the last time they saw each other, they were caught by her dad. And he pretty much like fucking fucked up Atlas, and she never heard from him again. But she did know that he wanted to go to Boston because he would always say like everything's better in Boston or something like that. And so she knew that. But when she went to Boston, she really wasn't like, oh my God, Atlas is there. She was kind of just like, well, he always said that Boston was great, so I want to go experience it.
Yeah, so the first time that she sees Atlas again when she's eating with Ryle and the mom, Ryle doesn't notice that she knows the waiter, because then when their relationship starts to get more serious, Ryle starts saying that like, oh, we're going to go out to eat with Alyssa and Marshall, and we want to go to Bibbs because that's where we went last time and that's where Atlas works. And Lily, without trying to tell him, keeps saying like, I don't want us to go there. I don't want us to go there. And he's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. They really want to go and whatever.
Because he really loved it there. He really liked the food there. But she keeps saying like, oh, no, the bread was stale. Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. So before that, their relationship had been going strong. It had been going really well. And he like referred to her as his girlfriend. He would always say things like, you're literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. Oh my gosh, I like you so much. Is it weird to like you this much? And it was such a cute relationship. So it broke my heart because I didn't know this is where the story was going. But there was a night where Ryle was, he stayed over. I don't know if they had been living together at this point, but
no, he was just staying over.
They were going to eat casserole together. And while the casserole was in the oven, he was talking about how excited he is to be part of this really big operation where they're going to take apart like 2 conjoined twins. And he's like, yeah, it's a very famous operation. They have millions of dollars on this operation. And, my hands are going to like succeed, like, because my hands are my money makers. This is my career, And then they started kissing. And
but they're also drunk off of wine, or like buzzed off of wine.
Yes. So then they don't realize that smoke starts to develop because the casserole is burning. So he tries to react quick and grabs the casserole, but does it without gloves to protect his hands from
like a pot holder.
Yeah. So he automatically drops the casserole and he has burned his hands. And to Lily, this is hilarious because it's like, oh my God, like, why would he do that? And she just starts laughing. And immediately,
she's
like,
drunk also.
Yes. Immediately he reacts. He gets super angry at her and just pushes her to the floor. And he
like shoves her.
Shoves
her hard enough that she hurts her eye. Like she's bleeding.
She crashes into like the countertop, I think. So she's kind of just on the floor for a bit, but gets up and tries to defend herself and pushes him. And he falls right into like glass.
The glass. The broken
and I'm
glass,
not sure if he's in his right mind at this point. I think it takes a while for him to kind of just like, because there's like a separation of when he's angry, he's not him, as Lily describes it. But then when he comes back, it's like, okay, this is Ryle, because he's like, oh my God, Lily, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And like, she feels like, okay, he literally just pushed me. And she's saying that. She's like, you just pushed me. You literally pushed me. And he's just like, no, like, I don't know what came over me. Are you okay? And she like feels bad because she was like, she tries to justify it in her head. Like, well, he just talked about this big surgery and it's so big for his career. And I made fun of his hand. I should have been more like cautious more caring about that he had hurt himself. And so she starts to say like, how's your hand? And he's like, no, that doesn't matter. How are you? Like, and takes her to the bathroom and like starts cleaning her wound while she starts cleaning his wound. And it's just so quiet. And I think he like continues to apologize, and she's like, you pushed me. Like, you literally pushed me. And I want you to know that if this happens again, like, because, things happen, but if this happens a second time, know that I will leave you. I'm not going to be here to stay for more. Like, I'll know if you do it a second time that you never cared.
And that you actually did it on purpose.
Yes.
And during this time, she is also thinking about her parents and their abusive relationship. And she was telling herself that she knew that if she ever experienced the same thing that her mother did, that she would immediately leave. And so she's like sobbing. It's actually really, really sad how much she's crying about it, because she's just like realizing that she's experiencing the same thing that her mother did.
I didn't know that this story had domestic abuse in it. So when it got to this point, it really fucked me up. Like,
I'm surprised you didn't, based on everything that came out with the coloring book. And I'm pretty sure we talked about that.
I know we talked about it, but I just never really assumed. I never would have imagined that it was the main character. I thought that was just her, her backstory. So I was very shocked. And I had never heard people say the name Ryle when they talk about book boyfriends, but I have heard the name Atlas. So I was very confused. I was like, why isn't anyone talking about him? Then when it got to that point, I was like, oh, now I know why.
Yeah.
But I think that this book did a really good job on like making you like him before he did that.
Yeah.
Because it really put you in her position where like her brain was trying to justify his actions. Because at some points it felt like a reader could do that too, where you're like, oh, I know he did that, but, and it's like you get stuck in that cycle. So I thought that was written really well.
I didn't really like Ryle. I mean, obviously I already knew what was going to happen, but I don't know. Like, to me, he had a lot of red flags, and they did have cute moments together. But when this happened, I was like, oh my God, it's only going to get worse from here. And I'm anxious.
I know. I knew it was going to get worse too. But they go the next day to Bibbs, to the place that Atlas works at. And Lily has a cut under her eye, and Ryle is wearing a bandage on his hand. And when Atlas comes up, because he introduces himself as the chef, when he comes up, he immediately looks at Lily's eye, and then down at like Ryle's hand, and then back at Lily, and his face gets like really angry. And he's trying to like hold it together, but he immediately like he introduces himself, says thank you, whatever, and leaves. And then Alyssa's like, wow,
no,
he was rude, wasn't he?
Remember, he was so fucking rude. He was just staring at them, and the other guy was like, oh, yeah, don't mind him. He's super busy. He's so busy, guys. Trust me, he's busy.
I forgot about that. Oh my God, I know that he leaves, and Alyssa is kind of like, wow, he's kind of an asshole, isn't he?
But yeah, because then she was like, too bad the food is delicious. Am I right, guys? She's like, dang.
I know. So then Lily excuses herself, and she just excuses herself to kind of just breathe. And Atlas catches up to her and goes in the girls' restroom with her and locks the door. And he's like, why would you let him do this to you? Like, why are you letting it? And she tries to justify it like, no, you don't get it. You don't know him. And he's super upset. So he says, you're acting just like your mom did.
Oh my God. And, yeah, he did say that.
My God, dude.
That literally fucking cut deep. I was like, I can't believe he would bring up her mom.
I know. And like, she turns to leave. And when she opens the bathroom door, Ryle sees her get out with Atlas, and it's just like, immediately like, what the fuck, Lily?
Mhm.
What are you doing?
Mhm.
And I think Atlas turns to walk away at first, but then turns back and like fucking punches Ryle in the face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how long their fight
No,
lasts.
doesn't he like shove him against the wall? He's like, "Bitch, you do that again, and I'll kill you, ho."
Oh my
But I
god,
think
I
he
don't
just-
remember.
He might have actually punched him too. I don't remember either.
It's very brief because like immediately Ryle starts to leave and Lily grabs their stuff from the table and she's like, I'll explain later. I gotta go. And they both leave.
Yeah, and he's obviously upset because he's like, "What the fuck just happened in that bathroom?" And that's Atlas. Oh, I think she. Oh, he also tells Atlas, "Oh, well, you're the one that she pity fucked."
Yes.
And she was like, "Oh my god, wait, I never said that."
Mm-hmm. So, I don't remember what happens when they get home. Because I know they're angry at each other, and I think they do like the naked truths again.
Uh-huh.
And she basically says, like, I know that he was working there. I didn't want to go back. Remember, I told you I didn't want to go back. I did not. Like, he looked at your arm and my eye, and he just put 2 and 2 together. Like, I didn't tell him what happened. But he's just a very protective friend. You know, I would never hurt you like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they just kind of like make up, right? I'm pretty sure they make up pretty quickly with that one.
Yeah, they do. But she kind of is hoping that's the last time she crashes into Atlas. But then Atlas goes to her job and he's actually there to apologize. And Lily's like, oh no, don't even worry about it. Like, he shouldn't have punched you either or shoved you either. And he's like, oh no, I'm not apologizing for that. That was my pride and joy. Don't get me wrong. I'm apologizing for what I said about you being like your mom. Like, you know, that was very hurtful and insensitive and I shouldn't have said that. And he ends up writing his number on a sticky note and puts it on the back of her phone case and just shuts her phone case. And he's like, if it gets bad, you call me and I will be there. No questions asked. I will be there. And she just kind of like, okay, whatever. And then while he's leaving, she's like, oh, by the way, I want to apologize for what Ryle said. Like, you were not a pity fuck. And then he's like, oh, trust me, I was there. Like, I know it wasn't a pity fuck. And then he leaves. What happened the second time when he hurt Lily?
I don't remember what caused him to be angry, but I do remember that was the moment he pushed her off the stairs and he pretty much like was fucking gaslighting her, like, no, you fell, I didn't push you, you fell, right? But I don't remember
found the phone number because her phone fell.
You're right, her phone
fell and the case popped off.
Saw the phone number and he started losing it. And
well, he called it first and then realized it was Atlas's number.
Yeah, but then he was like trying to leave and she was going after him like on the stairs, and that's when he shoved her off and she fell down the stairs.
And I don't know if it was in this one, but when she woke up, he kept repeating like, I didn't push you, you fell. Like, you fell.
Like, you fell. Are you okay? You fell.
And she was like torn because she was like, I really, really like him. Why would he hurt me and whatever? And I really hated the fact that, like, she tried avoiding him, but the next day he was at work and his sister was like, you have to hear him out, okay? Like, you, like, have to hear him out. But he didn't tell her the full story, right? His sister?
He did tell her the story.
About pushing her?
I think... Oh, no, I can't remember if he did tell the sister.
But I know
pretty much the sister gets involved and that convinces Lily to talk to him, because I think she was pretty much set on, nope, this is it. I'm done. Never talking to him again, because I said that if it happened again, then he really did mean to hurt me. And so she has a conversation with Ryle. And I believe this is when he tells her about their brother, right?
Brother. Yeah, he talks about Emerson And he's like, don't you remember the first time we met? I told you a story about a boy who accidentally shot his brother. Well, that was me. I shot my brother. And then she starts to think about like how he said that people like that will never be the same again. And that kind of explains his anger issues.
The way that it's described in this moment is that he has moments of that he blacks out. But he's like, oh, but that's why it happens, right? That's why he like pushes her or whatever. He's like, I'm not realizing that I pushed you. I just blacked out.
Mm-hmm.
And so she does, yeah, and she does obviously feel bad for him. So they come to this resolution that, okay, so then if things get heated up again, then you just need to walk away. You just need to leave so that it can't escalate and, you know, you can't do something that you'll regret afterwards. And I feel like shortly after this, they get married, right? They're not married at this point yet, right? It's after this?
Well, before they get married, they do actually get in another fight where he does walk away. And that's kind of where she's like completely like in love with him, because it's like, look at how much he's grown. Like we are going to work out because look at how mature we're handling our situation. Something my parents never did, you know? So she's completely like won over. So yeah, they go to visit his parents. And one of them asks if he would ever, or if she would ever marry him. And she'd be like, yeah, if he asked me right now, I'd marry him right now. And so then he's like, okay, let's go. Let's go right now to Vegas and get married. And they invite their families and they get married in Vegas. And then they're just all of a sudden married. And
yeah, it's
things
very
are
quick.
things are going well for like a week. It only takes like a week. And the thing that kind of wrecks it, because like his sister is pregnant, okay, and they start talking about like, oh, you know, I really want a baby too, and they're like talking about all this stuff. They're super happy. And during a day where she hangs out longer with Alyssa than she planned to, she goes home to go see her husband, and he's just kind of standing there, and she's confused because
it's very creepy too.
It is. He's like, it's very eerie. Like it felt like something was about to happen. And then he starts talking about how like, oh, he's like, okay, let's do a naked truth right now. Where did you get that magnet that says,
everything's better in Boston?
Yeah.
No, better in Boston.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't remember. And then he does something that's super aggressive, and then he says it again. And it's like, okay, tell me again, where did you get that magnet? And she was like, I don't know why that matters. Like, what's happening? And then he reveals that he found all of the letters of her diary entries about Atlas. She figured out that was his. And then he pulled up an article that they had written about the businesses that were running for like top business in Boston. And under Bibbs, which was Atlas's, he brought up that the reason he named it Better in Boston was in like honor to someone who meant the world to him. Her name is Lily Blooms, and you know, she like,
well, he didn't say her name.
Well, it was he assumed that it was about her. But yeah, it was someone that had saved his life before. That's what he said. And so Lily doesn't even finish reading the article, and he gets super like, why would you do this to me? Oh my God. Like, I love you so much, and I don't think you understand how much I love you. And so then he starts like getting near to her and like holding her, and she's just kind of like, you have to let me go, Ryle. It's like, no, I have to show you how much I love you.
He's yanking her hair.
Oh.
And he bites her. He bites the tattoo on her, because that tattoo is pretty much like, because she got it because of Atlas, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's when he figured it out. And he was like, I loved this part. I always kissed this part on you. And to find out that it has to do with that, you know, him, like just broke him. And then he like really like bites hard on it, which is on her collarbone.
Yup. And so he ends up R-wording her. Or like the beginning of R word, but then she passes out, and then she wakes up and
he headbutts her.
He had what?
He slams his head on her head.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then that's
like,
why she passes out.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up and hears him going like, there, you're okay, you're okay. And then she like passes out again, I think. And then when she wakes up, he's like hugging her waist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she slowly gets herself out of that and goes to the living room, and she's like, keys, phone, wallet. And she's like looking for her stuff, and she gets her phone and is thinking of who to call, but she can't call anyone because it's hard because all of her friends are his friends, you know?
Yeah, and also, Elisa just gave birth too.
Yep. So, she calls Atlas, and she's just like, I need help. And he's like, okay, where are you? And it's like, I'm going to send you the address. Don't knock. Just text me when you're here. And he does that. And then when he's there, he's like, is he still up there? Like, is he still, because he wants to go up there and confront him. And she's like, no, I really just want to go. So they end up going to Atlas's house. And she is like just a sobbing mess. Oh, no. They go to the hospital first. And they offer her the sane test, which is something they give to people to check if they have been raped. But she was so like, no, that like she is a very firm believer that it didn't get to that point.
Yeah.
So she says no to it, and then she ends up going home with Atlas and sobs and goes to sleep.
That whole like scene had me so fucking anxious. I was so scared that he was gonna wake up while she was like calling Atlas or waiting for Atlas. I was really holding my breath. I was like, dude, get the fuck out of the house.
Me too. And I was trying to, like, every worst case scenario was popping up in my head, but she would bring them up. She's like, I can't use my credit card. He can like see what I've been doing. And then I'm like, girl, check your Find My Friends on your phone. Like, you need to like turn that shit off. I know. Like, seriously. I was worried for her too. So the fact that she was like, I'm gonna go into work, you know, I was like, oh, I know that you have to continue your daily life, but that seems like a lot, you know? And I think the day she goes in, she's kind of like, she's super jumpy. Like every customer who comes in, she's like looking up, making sure it's not him. It's not until the very last customer where he comes in and he like is apologizing like he always does. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I shouldn't have done.
It wasn't even like, not really. Remember, he was like, I'm leaving to England, so you can go. Okay. So you can go back home. You don't have to worry about it. And I think she might have brought up something like, oh, you're not even going to apologize? Or I don't know, something along those lines. And he was like,
oh my God, wait, she says something super cold to him. Where does he go again? Montana or Missouri?
Oh, I thought it was England for some reason. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was like Montana.
Okay, I found it. It's England, by the way. It is England. He's gonna be gone for 3 months. And then
nice.
He tries to act super composed, but she can tell by like the veins in his neck that he's like trying really hard. And then he just says, you need time, and I want to give that to you. Go back home, Lily. I won't be there, I promise. And then when he starts to walk away, she says, Ryle, all you had to do when you found my journal was ask me for a naked truth. I would have been honest with you, but you didn't. You chose not to ask for my help, and now we'll both have to suffer the consequences of your actions for the rest of our lives. And he just says, Lily, like he says her name, and she's like, don't. You can leave now. Have fun in England.
Oh my God.
Dude, this is a very heavy topic. Did we mention that she's pregnant?
Did we mention that she's pregnant?
Oh, yeah. She figured out when she went to go check in the hospital. So she has not told him. So in her mind, she's like, thank God. Like, I could keep it a secret for 3 months. And she also was going to keep it a secret from Alyssa because she no longer works at the flower place. Mm-hmm. But then Alyssa's kind of like, you're acting weird. Like, you need to tell me what's up. And she like breaks down and tells her exactly what happened because Ryle's coming home soon. And
yeah, it's already been 3 months or two and a half or whatever.
And I really like the way Alyssa responds, where she's like, he's my brother and you're the best thing that has ever happened to him. You've changed him and he's a really great person now. But as your friend, I would never forgive you or talk to you again if you go back to him. And I feel like she really needed to hear that. Like she was scared of breaking like all the connections that she had, but like hearing that she like broke down, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, because it's really sad that she was able to cultivate this family of her own, right? It was like a whole little friend group. And there were moments when they would all be together and she just felt so elated, like, wow, I really made a family. So yeah, like you said, hearing that kind of relieved her.
So the whole time when Ryle comes back and looks at Lily, he looks devastated because it's like, she's pregnant and I didn't know, but he doesn't push it. Like he doesn't like automatically go to her. And they have a conversation. For the first time they have a conversation, Ryle actually asks Marshall to come with him and is like, okay, Lily, I want to talk to you. Marshall's here just so that you could feel safe, but can we go talk? And so they do. And he's just kind of like, I missed you. I love you. I'm sorry. And I forget how, but they like start, I think he tries kissing her or something, but then they both realize that like she no longer is attracted to him like that. Like she can no longer handle affection from him like that.
Every move he makes on her, she starts to remember that night.
Yes. So she is just kind of like not like they're nothing at this point.
They're kind of going back and forth about whether or not they're going to get back together. And she had told Atlas, like, hey, I need to figure my life out first. And he's like, well, if you ever choose to fall in love again, I hope it's with me. So that's why she's not talking to Atlas during this time. And
can I read that quote? Because I actually really like how he says it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the last thing that Atlas says to her is, in the future, if by some miracle you ever find yourself in the position to fall in love again, fall in love with me. You're still my favorite person, Lily. Always will be. And then tells her that, like, please don't contact me unless it's an emergency because I cannot handle anything casual with you. Because what we have is not casual. And so he's kind of out of the picture for now. So it is the months leading up to Lily's pregnancy. She tells Ryle, like, you know what? I don't want you to pressure me into being in a relationship with you. Like, I need to handle one thing at a time.
She also tells him, like, I don't want us to even mention divorce until afterwards because she's like, I want to make sure that I'm sure about my feelings and it's not just like the hormones or whatever.
I really liked that part where she was like building the crib for her baby. Oh no, she had painted a mural in her baby's room and she was super proud of it. And she was like, I need to show someone, but everyone was busy. So she ended up calling Ryle and was like, hey, I just built this. You want to come and look at it? And he comes in. It is the crib. They built the crib. And then they're both looking at it. Oh no, I'm wrong. It was Ryle who built the crib. When they're standing there, she lowers her defenses because it's a very like beautiful moment. And he tries to hug her and she backs away. And she like, I don't think she says it, but she thinks it, like the fact that he made a mistake that now affects her having moments like this, like something that she would have been so excited to feel with her husband. She no longer has that because he took it away from her. So yeah, when she finally does give birth, he is in the delivery room, of course, because he's the dad. And the baby is a beautiful baby girl. And he's super, super happy. They're holding the baby.
And they name her after the brother. So Emerson.
And they call her Emma for short. And it's such a sweet moment. And in her mind, she's like, I love my baby so much, so I want to do what's right. I want her to have a loving family, so I have to make the right choice. So while Ryle is holding the baby, she's like, Ryle,
and shit.
I know. She's like, oh, Ryle, I want a divorce. And he just completely like deflates. And is like, Lily, you what? Like, don't say that. Please don't say that. And then she's like, think about it. If our daughter met someone and they told you that this person shoved her, that this person pushed her down the stairs, that this person raped her, would you want her to continue to be with that person? And he doesn't want to answer, but then eventually says, like, I would tell her to leave him. I would like beg her to leave him. And she's like, exactly. Like, we can't put our daughter through that. So at that point,
Yeah.
they both come to the realization that they need a divorce. I think a bit of time passes and it is like the future, and it is Lily walking with Emerson. Well, in a stroller, and she's 11 months now, and someone compliments the baby. It's like, oh my gosh, she has your lips. And it's like, well, you should see her dad. They have like the exact same eyes. And while she's walking the baby down like the park, she crashes into Atlas. And Atlas is like, oh my gosh, how are you? You look great. And it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm in a hurry though, Atlas. I need to go to Ryle. And he makes a face, like a disappointed face. And she's like, no. It's his turn with her. And like, we've divorced. Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, it was really good to see you. So then she leaves Emerson with Ryle, and she immediately runs back because she's like, I need to go do something. And she immediately runs back to find Atlas and is like, oh, I didn't tell you what her middle name is. Her middle name is Dory. And that was a really big thing for them because
they both bonded over Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
And they would always say, like, keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
And they both end up hugging. And Atlas is like, if you're ready, remember what I said? Like, if you're ready, I'm here. And then she kind of goes like, do you donate to charity? Do you do this? Do you do that? And she's like asking all these questions. And he says yes to all of them. And she's like, okay, I'm ready. And then she has like a little thought. I think this actually came a few pages before. About how life kind of goes in cycles, and sometimes people can fall into these cycles and like struggle to get out. Like how her parents were in the cycle of this abusive relationship, and how she fell into the cycle of this abusive relationship, but she was able to get out. And she was like, I was not about to put my kid in that cycle, so I cut it off because this cycle ends with us. And dude, I fucking love that title drop. I thought that was a really, really good title drop.
Yeah. Yeah, I like when books do that. When they like mention like it ends with the title pretty much.
It's funny because my sister and I always make jokes like some books or whatever have like really long titles. So you don't, you're watching Harry Potter and it's like, wow, this is really Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, isn't it? It's like you can't title drop something like that. So like it was a really like, I feel like out of all the title drops, this was a very like significant one. Like I'll remember this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, oh my God.
Damn, this was long. So do you want to talk about overall thoughts and then talk about Colleen Hoover's note, or talk about Colleen Hoover's note and then overall thoughts?
Let's talk about overall thoughts. I overall really liked this book, and I did not want to like it, but I was like, I'm going to go in like fucking just no biases, whatever. And I just thought that it was really interesting to read a story in which like even the audience was like supposed to fall in love with their relationship. I think it's because I knew nothing about this book. I didn't know who the fuck Atlas was. I didn't know who Ryle was. I thought that our main two were going to be our only two. So when it got to
Ellen
the parts...
DeGeneres.
Main three, I'm sorry. When it got to the part where, like, it started to get bad for her and she started to get hurt by him, I kind of, like, it was hard because, like, the way that she would justify his actions, you'd be like, no, don't do that. But I get it, but don't do that, because you're in her position where it's like, I want to help him, but it's not my job to help him. And that was her struggle. And then she would always compare it to her parents' relationship. And I like how at the end, when she revealed that she was getting hurt by Ryle and all of this stuff to her mom was like, you know what? When you are a strong person, because like you stood up there when you gave your dad's eulogy and you didn't say shit. And I know that you did that because you knew he wasn't a good person. And you were the only brave one out there. So I tell you this now as like my daughter, that like you are gonna think, oh, it's just one time, it's just one slap, it's just one this, and it'll continue to push your limits and you need to get out of that. So like I appreciated like the conversations that were had amongst characters. This did definitely feel like a book that only focused on the main characters. I feel like other characters like the mom and Devin and like Marshall even were kind of added to push plot forward. Like they really didn't matter at all. But I think that this book accomplished what it wanted to do. It wanted to paint a picture of what a domestic household looks like and how even people who have been in these households can sometimes fall victim into being in a relationship like this themselves. So overall, I think I would give this book like a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, so for me, it was a different experience reading this book because I already knew what happened in the story. I did try to go into it, like, just not even think about the fucking, like, what I knew what was going to happen. But I didn't love Ryle's character. I didn't think he was unlovable, like from the beginning parts. I mean, like when he first showed up, I thought it was kind of weird that he was that angry, you know, pissed off. But I was like, okay, well, maybe he just had a rough day at work. I don't know. But personally, I wouldn't let that slide. And so their relationship, I thought, did have those cute moments. Didn't necessarily love the naked truths part because I thought that he was so blunt. I don't know why he needed that. I also felt kind of like a certain way with, it's kind of hard to say because I know that every relationship is different, but I'm just going to focus on Ryle's character. So I didn't understand why they tried to paint it as, oh, he just blacks out, when that last moment, he literally had like a whole sequence. Like it wasn't like 1 second, shove her out the door, whatever. It was like a whole like, oh, where did you get that magnet? Oh, no, really, where'd you get that magnet? So to me, it's like, you're not blacking out. This is literally how you are. You're just a fucking asshole. And so I hated that they tried to give him a fucking redemption story. Like, he doesn't need a redemption story. He needs therapy. And it didn't sit well with me that she literally just let him have the daughter. Like, I know that some people treat their partners different than their children, but your character is your character. And I feel like, to me, I would be like, no, he's going to break one day. Like, the baby's going to cry and not stop crying, and then he's going to fucking black out. Like, what? It did not sit well with me that she was literally just like, oh, you know, it's his turn to have her. So here you go. See you later, girl. I would just be so on edge. Like, that was never even a thought for her. I don't understand why. And I just didn't like that this felt like, oh, he was just, you know, blacking out. It's not his fault. I still hate that quote, that he's not really a bad person, you know, because you're trying to push off that responsibility of his actions. I don't know why. I did like the story, the way that it was progressing, but in certain moments I was like, no, they're losing me. Like, they're trying to justify his actions, and I don't like it. Like, I know that Lily was going through it, and I sympathized with her. I understood why she would take him back, because like Cheli said, in those moments, you kind of just try to justify it in your head. Like, oh my God, well, you know, he was just upset. I shouldn't have laughed. I shouldn't have done this. Shouldn't have done that. And I felt so bad in those moments where she was just like, if I wasn't laughing, then, you know, he would have never shoved me. And it's a lot of like what ifs that just stress me out. So I guess, you know, the book did show, you know, how a relationship can just turn into, you know, a domestic abusive relationship. But I didn't like the way that it was executed. And I know that it was a personal story for the author, but just, you know, not thinking about how it pertains to the author, I did not like this story like halfway to the end. You know what I mean? Like the halfway mark and then to the end.
Yeah.
And then also, like, her and Atlas's relationship is also weird because I like that they became friends, but I don't know if you remember when he was like, wait, how old are you? She was like, 15. Oh, you turned 16 when? Oh, okay. So then the age of consent is like 2 months from now. Okay, great. Love that.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
That gave me the ick. I was like, okay, that's weird. I really wish that the letters that served as flashbacks to the love story of Atlas and Lily would have just been to a fictional character. Like, I understand that Ellen DeGeneres was,
Loved by many. Go ahead.
Loved by many at one point in time.
Hated
like,
by one. That one is me.
Hated by one and someone in this podcast. I just don't understand why it wasn't just to a fictional character. Like, what the fuck? Imagine being Ellen DeGeneres and being like, damn, you really had to include me in this?
Oh my god. Wait, anyway, what do you give it?
I give this book like a 2. 1.5.
Can I say, oh my god,
1.
dude.
I don't know.
I fucking wish that I would have had you when I was posting my Instagram videos, because you mentioned everything that I forgot that I wanted to mention too. When I first finished this book, I was like, oh my god, it's so great. I love this book. Because I did really like the ending. And then I posted, okay, this is for anyone who's listening right now, I'm going to try to remain sensitive with this topic, but just know that, like, as book reviewers, we are reviewing the content. So, like, whatever I say, I don't mean it in offense to the author's personal life. But this is my views of this book. When I finished reading it, I was like, I would give this book a 4 out of 5. Oh my god. I still mentioned, like, the little things that I didn't like. And then I slept on it. And when I woke up the next day, but in my videos, I had brought up, like, but I still don't think I would ever read another Colleen Hoover book. I think I'm good with just this one. And then I slept on it. And then I thought about it. And I was like, hold on a damn minute. Like, if I was in fucking Lily's position, I would not trust my kid to hang out with a man who has abused me. And then that was, like, after I had read the author's note. And I understand that in the life of the author, this was a real life situation. Like, her father abused her mom, but she had a good relationship, a goodish relationship with her father. And she wanted to paint that there is people that do that, like, that are able to have, like, a loving relationship with their kids, even if the relationship with the parents is not great. And what I had mentioned when I talked about it, and that's why I lowered it to, like, a 3 or a 3.5. I think I'm stuck at a 3.5. But I had said, like, you can't just make a book where that's the case. Like, you can't just, like, after everything they went through, and the fact that Lily never checked if she actually got raped, like, you can't just expect me to believe that this mother is okay with leaving her daughter with him. Like, that doesn't sit right with me. And like I said, there are relationships like this, but she also has to realize, because her name is so big and because her covers don't look like an adult book, there are going to be people who are reading this that are below 17, because her audience is 17 and up. But there's going to be other people reading this. And just like how we ate up Twilight, I know there are Twilight fans out there, like, there were problematic things that we romanticized because we read it in the book and we were like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, watch me while I sleep. Love that shit. Like, there were things like that. So there's going to be younger people reading this who are going to be in the position of, like, but Ryle was so good to her at the beginning. Like, it should have been them, you know? And even with Atlas, like, the fact that he said that whole 16-year-old thing, that fucking slipped my mind. So the fact that you brought that up, it, like, kind of changes my perspective too. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I fucking didn't even think about that. But that's the grossest shit I've ever heard. Like,
no, I immediately got the ick when that happened. I was like, what the fuck?
But it's like, that's where my issue was. Because when it comes to this part of the conversation, do we support an artist that we don't agree with and support their art? Like, because this book had a lot of controversy. Do you want to talk about the coloring book? Because you know more about it.
It was around January of this year, I'm assuming. So she was going to release a coloring book. I didn't actually see the pages. I just saw the cover, and the cover was very pretty. They had, like, flowers. I think it had a cake. I could have sworn it was a cake, but now I can't remember. And then it had like a stethoscope for Ryle. Damn. Hold on.
Isn't a stethoscope white? There's not much coloring in that.
Yeah, but like the cord itself was blue. Okay, so there was like flowers, stethoscope, and I think there was like some baking thing on the corner. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's for the cookies that he had baked for her, Atlas.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so she was going to release this, and it was just like everyone was super excuse me. The way that it was marketed was like, this is very exciting, like it's going to be an ode to Lily's journey pretty much. And everyone that I saw was very angry about this because they were like, how are you going to release a coloring book on such a like on a book that has such a heavy topic? And I would see comments that said like, well, you're gonna need a lot of red for the blood. And it was just like, people were so angry. It was supposed to release on April 4th of this year, but because of everyone's anger, she was like, oh, I wanted to celebrate, you know, Lily being strong enough to get out of this relationship. And like, I guess she didn't mean anything by it. I'm assuming that's what her statement said. I can't really remember it. And then it was never released.
It's so crazy to me because like this and along with other things are the reason that like I can't stand by Colleen Hoover, because it feels like so like, how did you not realize that this was an issue? You know, it seems so delusional. And yeah. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the correct word I should use, but it was crazy to me that she would even think of putting this out there. And then when I heard that this was getting a movie, now after reading it and sitting with it, it's like, how are you going to make people hate Ryle? Like, you're going to portray him as a great guy at the beginning, and you're going to tell me there's not going to be teenagers out there that are like, whatever. Like, you know, he's great. I've heard a kid once say, if you hit your girlfriend, it's not that bad. So, like, you need to realize that there are people who think like that. And you're telling me you're going to make a movie and somehow make everyone hate Ryle and understand that that's the point of your story. Like, it's different. Like, you can't just expect that all of the homes that go through domestic abuse are like that. So for you painting this as like a story of like, it's okay because he's still a good dad, although there are things like people that are like that, it's not always like that. And I don't think this was written well enough for me to believe that Ryle wouldn't hurt that child.
I do believe that he would hurt that child. I don't understand how it ended that way. But yeah. Do you want to talk about the statement itself or not?
Her author's note basically said that she had come from a home similar to this, and that whole casserole incident that Lily and Ryle went through, that was actually the first time, based on a true story of the first time her mom was abused by the dad. And she basically wrote this like statement saying that like, although this happened, her mom did a really good job making sure that like the kids were never hurt. And they eventually got divorced.
She said that she didn't involve them. Like, she wouldn't vent to her kids about her dad.
Which I know that there are families that do that. Like, the parents try to make it so that the kids never see the parents fight. But it's like, I'm glad that she was able to put her emotions on paper. But I don't think it was reciprocated. Or I don't think it was conveyed well enough. Because it just kind of feels like it's justifying what Ryle did.
I do think that people can change. And obviously, you know, she had a good relationship. Well, a good enough relationship with her father to the point where he was involved with her life enough to be in her wedding. Not like walk her down the aisle, but just be there. But because of how this book ended and just not even Ryle going to therapy, like just not really having a moment of him being like, damn, there's something seriously wrong with me. I just don't think that like Cheli said, it was conveyed well. I do feel for her though. Like, I know that this is a very personal book. It's so sad because when I realized that it was such a personal book, I was almost like, damn, should we talk about this or not?
I know it's hard to talk about books like this, but I feel like as an author, you have to realize that when you release a piece of work, it's no longer your story. So the way that it is digested by the readers, that's not up to you anymore. And it's like,
and also this isn't like a memoir. This isn't like a autobiography. She's just basing these characters off of similar experiences.
I'm gonna change my rating because talking about this now, you're making me angry. So I think I would give it a 3. I think I'm still gonna say a 3 because I did enjoy reading it, and like I said, I did like the progression of seeing her, like, being stuck in this situation and seeing the mind of someone who wants to justify it. I did appreciate that, but like I said, like you need to be aware of your audience. And you need to be aware that not all abusive relationships end like that. They all can't be like that. And it's funny because there was a part of me when I was like halfway through this book, I was like, damn, am I going to read the next one? Am I going to read the It Starts With Us? Like I was thinking about it. And then I finished this book and I was like, I'm good. The way it ended, I'm good. It could just stick there. Do you think...
I think I was good with it too.
Do you think you would ever... not for the podcast, but you would ever read another Colleen Hoover book?
Yeah, I think I would. It's definitely not a priority. I have many books on my TBR. I would like us to talk about another book of hers, but
which one?
Verity, because I want to understand what people are talking about at the end.
Okay, I'm down to read it. I don't know. I feel a certain way because I feel like so many people like kiss the floor that she walks on type of thing, you know?
I should mention that the reason why people... Well, she has a lot of love, okay? Let's not forget that. She has so much support. But yes. I feel like there is a lot of people who don't like her because she markets her books as romance. And just because you sprinkled a little bit of Atlas and Lily in here, I would not consider this a romance. No. I don't know. Like, to me, like, her romances don't feel like romances. They feel like anti-romance. And that's why people get upset. Because also, like, her male characters are really fucking annoying.
Yeah. I need to show you. I'll post them all on TikTok. Go follow us on TikTok, BookFix. At the BookFix, THEBOOKFIX. Because like when I finished reading this, I had made a comment where I was like, I did enjoy reading this book, but at the end of the day, this was just a basic book. And there are other books that have done it better, that are not written by CoHo and have the name of CoHo to back them up. You know, you can get this type of book and any of her types of book from anyone else. I don't think I would read another book of hers.
Wait, can I just give context?
Yes.
I have read Ugly Love and November 9th, and Now It Ends With Us. And I just feel like, damn, her male characters are just not it for me. They are not book boyfriends for me.
You didn't think it was cute when Atlas like flipped the cookies?
No. So I don't know if I ever told you that comment that I saw. Oh my God, it literally stayed with me. I saw a comment, I think it was on TikTok, where somebody said, people who read Colleen Hoover are people who never had their Wattpad phase and they're having it now in like their 20s or whatever age.
Dude! Oh my God. That's so funny because the girl that I know that likes Colleen Hoover, she never dived into fanfic. She never dived into fandoms or anything.
Dude,
and that is so true.
Same for the girl that I know who loves Colleen Hoover. Like, she was never a big reader. And I feel like that's another like thing about people who love her books. It's like people who are getting into reading because they're kind of like easy to digest. But yeah, same for me. Like, she would never had that phase. And we have, so... Yeah. I feel like, because I read an article about Colleen Hoover like 2 days ago when I finished reading this book, and it was saying how like
the thing that's an issue with her writing is that she adds a lot of dramatic tension in order to make her books attractive. But what she doesn't understand is that this dramatic tension that she's adding, so between Ryle and Lily, people are just mistaking that as just attraction. Like, it's just like, oh, that's like a sexy thing that they're doing, and I fucking love that. And they're mistaking what she's trying to convey. And I feel like it's because she doesn't convey it right. That's the thing. And she's written like 500 books? I see them everywhere. Like, so I don't know. It's a lot. I'm going to change my rating. It's a 2.9.
Oh my God.
She's going lower and lower.
Also, if this is the first time that anyone is listening to us and you didn't listen to us when we did like our what is it called? Our yearly wrap up?
Yeah.
Cheli, you changed all of your ratings. So I'm just going to wait until we do our yearly wrap up.
We're going to do our yearly wrap up. I can't believe I gave that a 1 when we, it's because I feel like mostly with the podcast, first, when you sit on a book, your rating changes. But then when we talk to each other, our rating changes. And I didn't know how hard you wanted to go because sometimes you tell me to tone it down. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't want to, completely tear her apart. But
well, that's only if we ever do that with the author themselves. Yeah. I don't care if you tear up a book. What do I care?
Okay. Wow, this is a long episode.
Okay, we gotta wrap it up.
Thank you so much for everyone who is listening to us in audio form, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or anywhere you get your podcasts on. If you can please leave a rating and a review. For the rating, I suggest 5 stars because if you think about it, if I gave it a 3 and Yajaira gave it a 2, 3 plus 2 is 5. You need to make it work. Come on. The math has to math.
I think I'm gonna give it a 1.
Okay, but then I have to give it a 4. That won't. Okay, it's okay. We'll talk about it later. But if you also want to help us a little bit more with exposure, please tell your friends, family, loved ones, everyone about us because the best type of exposure is through word of mouth. But if you have extra money, like an extra 5 in your back pocket, what is something they could do, Yajaira?
So we did make a Patreon, and really for the moment it just serves as a way for our listeners to give us a little bit more love, let us know that you really enjoy what we do. You can find us on patreon.com/bookfix.
Thank you. And if you are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. If you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, we post every Tuesday and Thursday. I do recommend listening to us on audio form for a bit, only because we're a little behind on our YouTube. If you want to support us on social media, we are active on TikTok. So if you look up at The Book Fix, THEBOOKFIX, you can find us there. You can also find us on Instagram and on Threads at The Book Fix Pod, THEBOOKFIXPOD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh.
I just feel like a weight has lifted. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Dude, every time we film, I have to turn off my fan, and I am drenched in sweat.
So am I. It's so freaking hot here.
I don't have any jokes for the end of the episode. I need to go turn on my fan.
Okay, me too. Bye.
Bye.